One night, two helicopter and the world's most wanted man was seconds away from death.
Remember when Osama Bin Laden was killed, those exclusive images, the aftermath of the dramatic Navy SEAL Team 6 operation.
That night, a secret U.S. mission accomplished what the world once thought was impossible. After 9/11, America made a promise we will never forget. 10 years later, that promise was fulfilled in one historic night. Thousands died on September 11th. Millions of lives were changed, and America swore the war wouldn't end until Osama Bin Laden was found. September 11th, the day humanity cried, and 10 years later came the night that balanced the scales of history. It was 1 a.m. Two stealth helicopters had entered Pakistani airspace. No one knew this was about to become the most secret mission in history. One man died, but his ideology lived on. Osama bin Laden was gone, yet his story changed the world forever. In 1998, two American embassies, one in Nairobi, Kenya, and another in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, were blown up simultaneously. 224 people were killed, and thousands were injured. This was Osama's first major attack on America. Just 2 years later, in 2000, another attack took place off the coast of Yemen. A suicide bombing targeted the USS Cole, an American Navy ship. 17 American sailors were killed, and 39 were injured. By then, America understood Osama wasn't fighting a small war. And then came the day that changed the map of the entire world. September 11, 2001. 8:46 a.m., an American Airlines plane crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York. 9:03 a.m., a second plane struck the South Tower. 9:37 a.m., a third plane crashed into the Pentagon, the heart of America's military. And the fourth plane, passengers themselves brought it down to save countless others. Within a few hours, both towers had collapsed. Thousands were dead, and one name echoed across the entire world: Osama bin Laden. That day, America made a promise to itself. This war would not end until Osama bin Laden was found. After September 11th, 2001, America had only one mission: find Osama bin Laden, dead or alive. President George W. Bush immediately ordered CIA Director George Tenet, saying, "We are at war. Find him." The CIA launched Operation Enduring Freedom, and on October 7th, 2001, the U.S. began airstrikes on Afghanistan. The main targets: Taliban strongholds and al-Qaeda training camps. At that time, Osama was hiding in Tora Bora, a mountainous region near the Pakistan border, one of the most dangerous and complex cave systems in Afghanistan, sitting 10,000 feet above sea level. From there, he was running his command center. On December 3rd, 2001, CIA paramilitary officers Gary Burnson and Billy Waugh, along with local Afghan fighters, surrounded the area. Through intercepted radio signals, they recognized Osama's voice: "We will never surrender. We will meet in paradise." That was America's best chance to end it. The CIA requested to send U.S. Special Forces to finish the job, but the Pentagon denied the request. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld and General Tommy Franks said, "Let the Afghan militias handle it." Result? On December 16, 2001, Osama bin Laden escaped through the Parashinar route into Pakistan. The world's most wanted man had vanished again. Later, CIA officer Gary Burnson wrote in his book, Jawbreaker, 2005, "We had him trapped. We needed 800 American troops, and we could have finished it. But that moment was lost forever." By early 2002, the CIA had set up a base in Islamabad, Pakistan, coordinating all intelligence operations from there. CIA analyst Michael Scheuer, founder of the Bin Laden unit, warned, "Pakistan is not with us. They're playing both sides." Still, the U.S. continued trusting President Pervez Musharraf's government. Meanwhile, Osama and senior al-Qaeda leaders like Ayman al-Zawahiri, Abu Zubaydah, and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed quietly moved into Pakistan's tribal areas. In 2003, the CIA launched major raids in Karachi and Rawalpindi. On March 1st, 2003, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, the mastermind of 9/11, was captured in Rawalpindi. It was a major victory, but Osama was still missing. By 2004, President Bush's administration publicly stated, "The hunt for bin Laden is not our top priority anymore," because America had shifted its focus to the war in Iraq. That decision is now seen as one of the biggest strategic mistakes in U.S. history. Between 2001 and 2004, Osama bin Laden kept moving secretly between Swat Valley and Abbottabad, protected by local tribal networks. The CIA only had rumors, no solid proof of his location. By 2005, the world believed that Osama bin Laden was either dead or hiding somewhere deep in the mountains. But inside the CIA, there were still officers who refused to close this mission. At that time, the CIA's focus was on one thing: the courier network. Osama bin Laden never communicated directly. He sent his messages only through trusted couriers, and one name kept repeating again and again: Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. Around 2005, CIA analyst Lisa Maddox and another female officer, codenamed Jen, heard this same name during the interrogation of captured al-Qaeda members. Al-Kuwaiti is close to bin Laden. The same name came up again in 2007 when Abu Faraj al-Libi, Osama's chief of communications, was arrested in Pakistan. He too mentioned only one name: Al-Kuwaiti handles the messages. By now, the CIA had realized that if they wanted to reach Osama, this courier was the key. In 2008, the CIA created a special surveillance unit in Pakistan, codenamed the Alex Station 2.0. This unit operated under the CIA's Counterterrorism Center, CTC, headed by Michael D'Andrea, also known as the Dark Prince. They deployed networks across Peshawar and Abbottabad, cell tower intercepts, spy vans, and drone surveillance. But the courier was extremely cautious. He always traveled with one trusted companion and never used a mobile phone. Then, in August 2010, a major breakthrough came. The CIA tracked a white Suzuki Maran car that regularly traveled from Peshawar to a compound in Abbottabad. The car's registration was fake, but the driver was soon identified: Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. CIA Director Leon Panetta was immediately informed. He briefed President Barack Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, and National Security Advisor Tom Donilon at the White House. Satellite images showed a large, walled compound with 18-foot-high walls, barbed wire, and no telephone or internet connection. And the biggest clue: inside that compound, there was a tall man who never stepped outside. The CIA gave him a code name, the Pacer, and suspicion was clear. The Pacer is Osama Bin Laden. By September 2010, the CIA began continuous drone surveillance. Inside the compound, they identified 3 adult males, multiple women, and several children. But one man followed the same walking pattern every day in the courtyard. No phone, no communication, completely isolated. A CIA officer wrote in his report, "The body language matches Bin Laden. The gait, the height, and the pattern of movement, it's him." In October 2010, Leon Panetta gave the order, "Prepare a full target profile. No mistakes this time." Then came March to April 2011. While keeping constant surveillance over Abbottabad, the CIA launched a covert plan. 2 female CIA officers in Pakistan contacted a local doctor, Dr. Shakil Afridi. They told him that they wanted to provide hepatitis B vaccines to poor children. But the real plan was different. Under the cover of vaccination, they wanted to collect DNA samples from the children inside the compound. If that DNA matched the family members of Osama bin Laden, it would confirm that bin Laden was indeed inside the compound. In April 2011, this fake vaccination drive began near Bilal town, where they tried to collect samples. Dr. Afridi was paid $55,000 for this mission, but he didn't realize that this would become the biggest mistake of his life. The plan failed. The people inside the compound refused to let the vaccination team enter. Just days after the Abbottabad raid, around May 2011, Pakistani authorities arrested Dr. Shakil Afridi. And on May 23, 2012, a Pakistani court sentenced him to 33 years in prison for treason against Pakistan. Even though the plan failed, the CIA's suspicion had never been stronger. There was definitely something inside that compound, and all the signs pointed to Osama bin Laden. When DNA confirmation couldn't be achieved, the final decision was made. We go in. Regular secret meetings began to take place inside the White House, in the Situation Room, under the codename Operation Neptune Spear. This was the very mission that 10 years later would finally end the hunt that had begun on the morning of September 11, 2001. Night of May 1st, 2011, from Jalalabad, Afghanistan, 2 specially modified stealth helicopters lifted off under the codename Operation Neptune Spear. In the White House Situation Room, final approval had been given. President Barack Obama, CIA Director Leon Panetta, and JSOC Commander Admiral William McRaven had all said just one word: determined. Go. In the darkness of the night, the helicopters crossed into Abbottabad, Pakistan. These helicopters were designed to be almost invisible on radar, though the exact technical modifications remain classified. Between 12:30 and 10 a.m., the 2 helicopters reached the compound. The first helicopter tried to land inside the courtyard, but crashed against a wall due to an air pressure issue. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured. The team later destroyed the wreckage to prevent any sensitive technology from falling into Pakistani hands. Inside the compound were several people. On the 3rd floor, Osama bin Laden himself with his wife Amal. His son Khalid bin Laden was also there. On the ground floor, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, Osama's trusted courier, and his brother Abrar lived with their families. A few women and children were also present inside. Despite the crash, SEAL Team 6 continued the mission. They broke through the gate and cleared each room methodically. On the ground floor, Abu Ahmed and Abrar were killed. The search moved upstairs. On the 3rd floor corridor, a brief encounter took place, and Osama bin Laden was shot dead. Some former SEAL operators like Robert O'Neill and Matt Bissonnette later shared different versions in their books, but the official report confirms Osama bin Laden was killed in that encounter. The entire operation lasted around 38 minutes. The SEALs seized hard drives, notebooks, phones, and memory devices, later analyzed under the name the Bin Laden Files. That same night, a local Abbottabad resident, Sohaib Athar, unknowingly live-tweeted the event. He wrote, "Thoughtful, helicopter hovering above Abbottabad. At 1 a.m., this is unusual." Moments later, surprised, a huge window-shaking bang. Those tweets gave the world a real-time glimpse of what was happening that night. The wreckage of the crashed helicopter was destroyed on site, and the SEALs flew back with bin Laden's body and the seized material. Later, DNA testing confirmed it was indeed Osama bin Laden. Laden. There were rumors that the area's lights were cut off, but verified reports clarified no blackout was ordered. The compound itself had no phone lines or internet, completely isolated from the outside world. In the White House Situation Room, President Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, and their national security team watched the mission's live feed in silence. On May 2, 2011, at 11:35 p.m., President Obama addressed the nation. Solemn. Justice has been done. One night, one crash, 38 minutes. It ended a 10-year-long hunt, but that single night also raised new questions about secrets, strategy, and the unseen cost of justice. Morning of May 2, 2011, Abbottabad, Pakistan. As the sun rose, locals woke up to see a large compound engulfed in smoke and fire. Debris from a destroyed helicopter lay scattered near the boundary wall. Within minutes, Pakistani security forces cordoned off the entire area. Inside the compound, several survivors were found. 3 of Osama bin Laden's wives and multiple children. They were taken away in a white covered bus and placed in Pakistani army custody. Later, they were moved to Islamabad, where intelligence agencies interrogated them. Amal, Osama's youngest wife, confirmed that the man killed that night was indeed Osama bin Laden, and that she was with him on the 3rd floor during the raid. The Pakistani government was in complete shock. The U.S. Navy SEALs had carried out the entire mission without informing Pakistan. Abbottabad was only a few kilometers away from Pakistan's military academy, raising a serious global question. Did Pakistan know bin Laden was hiding there, or was it a massive intelligence failure? By morning, Pakistani and international media began broadcasting live visuals, footage of the burning compound and the crashed helicopter. On Twitter and across major news outlets, one headline dominated the world: Osama bin Laden is dead. The White House officially confirmed the mission. In his address, President Barack Obama announced, "The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda." Across American cities, people flooded the streets in celebration. At Ground Zero in New York, crowds chanted, "USA! USA!" But in Pakistan, the atmosphere was the opposite. A wave of diplomatic outrage began. The Pakistani government protested that the U.S. had violated its sovereignty. General Ashfaq Parvez Kayani, Pakistan's army chief, called for an emergency meeting, stating that no unilateral U.S. action would be tolerated in the future. American officials defended their decision, explaining that they couldn't inform Pakistan, fearing the mission might leak. In the aftermath, relations between the U.S. and Pakistan sharply deteriorated. It was later revealed that the CIA had used local informants inside Pakistan, a fact that angered the Pakistani government, which arrested several of them, including Dr. Shakil Afridi, who had unknowingly aided the CIA's vaccine DNA mission earlier. Osama bin Laden's body was transported that same night to the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier. There, following Islamic burial rituals, his remains were buried at sea. The U.S. explained this was to prevent any gravesite from becoming a symbolic shrine. From the compound, the CIA seized around 2.7 terabytes of data, letters, videos, and hard drives. These documents revealed that bin Laden was still in contact with his network and was actively planning new attacks against the United States. Later, the Pakistan government formed the Abbottabad Commission to investigate how this could happen. The commission's report concluded that it was a collective intelligence failure and that the U.S. raid had severely damaged Pakistan's sovereignty. For the world, Operation Neptune Spear became a symbol, a story of justice for America, but also humiliation for Pakistan. One side celebrated victory, the other was left with broken trust. And as America ended its biggest manhunt, Pakistan was left asking a haunting question. How could a man like Osama bin Laden hide for years in our country, just miles from our military base, without anyone knowing? One chapter ended that night, but Operation Neptune Spear had opened a new chapter in global geopolitics. After Osama bin Laden's death, the world saw it as a symbolic victory for America, but the war on terror was far from over. In the weeks that followed, Al-Qaeda's leadership structure collapsed. Soon after Osama's death, Ayman al-Zawahiri, an Egyptian surgeon and Al-Qaeda's ideological backbone, took over as the new leader. But Zawahiri never commanded the same influence or charisma that Osama had. Documents recovered from bin Laden's compound revealed something surprising. Even before his death, Osama was still in contact with several Al-Qaeda branches around the world. In his letters, he wrote that the organization needed to repair its image to regain legitimacy in the Muslim world. But after Osama's death, Al-Qaeda transformed from a centralized organization into a network of regional groups. In Yemen, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula rose to power. In Africa, Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb began expanding their reach. After 2011, the United States gradually reduced its military presence in Afghanistan, but increased drone strikes and covert operations inside Pakistan. The CIA targeted Al-Qaeda and Taliban leaders across the tribal regions of North and South Waziristan. In one of those strikes, Abu Yahya al-Libi, al-Qaeda's second-in-command, was killed in 2012. But these drone strikes also caused civilian casualties, which further strained relations between the U.S. and Pakistan. For President Barack Obama, bin Laden's death was a major political victory. During his 2012 re-election campaign, he proudly stated, "If we can identify a threat, we will act, even if it's inside Pakistan." However, just a few years later, a new threat emerged: ISIS. In 2014, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi declared the establishment of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. The world's attention quickly shifted from al-Qaeda to ISIS, whose brutality and propaganda drew in new extremist fighters across continents. Many former al-Qaeda members defected to ISIS, while others remained loyal to al-Zawahiri. This split completely changed the global map of the war on terror. The U.S. shifted its focus away from Afghanistan and Pakistan toward the Middle East, launching airstrikes and coalition missions against ISIS strongholds in Syria and Iraq. But for Pakistan, the Abbottabad operation remained a permanent shadow. After 2011, anti-American sentiment and conspiracy theories grew across the country. Many people claim that bin Laden had been captured earlier and that the raid was staged for political gain. However, official records and declassified CIA documents confirm that Operation Neptune Spear was real and that Osama bin Laden was indeed killed inside the Abbottabad compound. Today, al-Qaeda still exists, but with less than 10% of its former strength. Without Osama, the group became a symbol rather than a power. Meanwhile, the landscape of terrorism had completely evolved. Osama bin Laden's death gave America closure, but it served as a reminder to the world. Killing one man doesn't end an ideology, and that's why the war on terror has shifted from battlefields to cyberspace, from guns to propaganda, from violence to the battle of ideas. From Abbottabad to Washington, one question still echoes: will this war ever truly end, or will it simply continue with new faces, new names, and new battlefields? 9/11, a tragedy the world will never forget. For all those who are just living their normal day and lost everything, heartfelt tribute. 9/11 changed millions of lives forever. Stories like these remind us how pain, power, and fate shaped our world. If you like watching such powerful true stories, don't forget to subscribe. More untold truths are coming soon. Thanks for watching.